Welcome to another Fireside Chat with Darren Hardy. So in this chat, we're going to evaluate if you're actually ready to be an entrepreneur or not. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. In fact, I don't think I've ever received a W-2. And through my various Success TV and print media enterprises and training companies, I've been responsible for empowering, educating, and training millions of entrepreneurs globally for decades now. So through all this, I've learned what type of person thrives when another type dies as an entrepreneur. Why is it right for some, but not all? These are 5 signs that entrepreneurship is not for you or you're not really ready. While I believe anyone can do anything, just because they can doesn't mean they should, or that it is fitting for them, who they are and what they were meant to do. And that is number 1. Just because you are good at something does not mean you should run a business that does that thing. Doing something functionally and running a business enterprise that does that thing are 2 wildly different things. And hey, I know to the person that looks at this from the outside, it does look like it's the same thing, but it's not. Just because someone is a great plumber doesn't mean that they would be good at building a plumbing business. Just because someone is a great chef or baker doesn't mean they would be good at running a restaurant or a bakery. I'll give you a more direct example. While I've never been an employee, when I met my wife, Georgia, she had never been anything but an employee. And when I saw how her Fortune 50 company was abusing her and how she was tortured by her job, I asked what she would really want to do if money weren't an object and she was just free to pursue it. She answered quickly that she always wanted to be an interior designer. I said, great, go be one. So she went back to school, got her interior design degree from a prestigious university. She absolutely loved every second of it because she was studying something that she was actually personally, passionately interested in. And as it turns out, she is a fantastically talented interior designer. And that's great. But as we found out, she is a terrible entrepreneur. And I don't mean to speak ill of my beloved, but her talent and ability for interior design is not the same thing as being able to run an interior design firm. She lacked the other critical skills and the interest in learning them altogether that are required to be able to build a successful business. She didn't know how to market herself or price herself or negotiate for herself, how to hire a lead and depend on others to do part of the project and work. She was only wanting to depend on herself and her own skills. She just wanted to do the interior design work that she was great at. But as far as a business, well, that becomes a very unprofitable business. So for starters, you have to separate the craft, the art, the product or the service from what it actually takes to operate an enterprise that delivers that product or service. In fact, and this is a very big tip here, be ready for it. As soon as you turn your craft into a business, you will immediately have 90% less time to do the craft. That is, if you want to have a successful business. That 90% will now be spent on marketing and sales and on hiring and on managing and operations and legal and HR and accounting and tax issues and the myriad of problems and complexities that only you, as the owner, have the ability to solve. I know that this sounds like bad news. And for the artisan in you, the one who only wants to do your art all day and not bother with the rest of it, it is bad news. And if that is true for you, that you only want to do the art of it and not bother with the rest, go work for someone doing that thing and have them deal with all those other complexities. But just keep perspective. There's a reason why it's called the starving artist syndrome, because the artist will always have to trade time for money. There's no leverage. There's no scale. And if your art, talent, or experienced skill goes out of fashion, you're screwed. But if you learn the skills of how to operate a business, as Richard Branson said, once you learn how to create a success of one business, you can create a success in many more by following the same set of principles. That means you can operate almost any type of business in any industry, selling any type of product or service during any type of economy if you master the 4 critical skills of sales, recruiting, leadership, and driving productivity. While owning and building a business is risky, once you have the skills to do it, it is the ultimate financial future security. Now, let me add another disclaimer here. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Like Georgia, and probably many people on my A team, many of them could run their own business if they really put their head and heart into it. But that still doesn't mean they should. Meaning, based on their strengths and what they are uniquely gifted to do and what they like to do and the life and lifestyle that they want to lead, being an intrapreneur, which means contributing to a mission, team, and enterprise bigger than themselves, is a better idea and more fulfilling than what they could build or even want to build on their own. Now, I want you to understand, there's no shame in that. In fact, I think it's success for them. When you design a career and life that allows you to do what you love all day, that's winning. Don't let anyone tell you or make you feel otherwise. And you get to bring your art to an enterprise where maybe it has a bigger platform to shine and to make an impact. Remember, this is your life, and success for you should only be defined by you. So I hope that you got the key points thus far here. 1, building a business is not the same as doing what the business delivers. Those are radically different skill sets. 2, once you learn the skills to build one business, you can build almost any business. And 3, choosing to be an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur should be a personal choice based on what you want to do and how you want to live. To discover what is right for you, I refer you back to the Success One Sheet workshop if you haven't seen it already. It's free, but it will be invaluable in helping you identify your purpose and to live the life that you were meant to live. Now, here's the second insight or sign that entrepreneurship is not right for you or that you're not ready. You want to be an entrepreneur to make a lot of money. This cracks me up, by the way, because as soon as you own your own business, the opposite is true. As the not so funny joke goes, a kid asks a successful looking guy how he became worth $1 million. The guy says, you start out with 3 million and then you start a business. Statistically, 66% of businesses fail, meaning you not only don't get rich, but you also lose your shirt in the process. And 2/3 of those that do make it now generate less than $100,000 a year in revenue. Half less than $50,000. And that is revenue, not profit. That's before taking into account all the business expenses and the big cut to Uncle Sam. What might be left over is what you get to buy your family groceries with. Now, let me also give you the flip side of the story as well. When I interviewed multi-billionaire Ken Fisher, who wrote the book, The 10 Roads to Riches, he said, being an entrepreneur, owning your own business is the only road where you can try and fail, try again and fail over and over again, and be successful only once and end up rich. Every other road, if you fail, it's game over. And I'll add, you don't need to be 6'8", have a chiseled jawline or perfect pitch, or be born into the right trust fund, as the other roads that he points out require for riches in athletics, acting, entertainment, and inheritance. In fact, you can be from the wrong side of the tracks, have no degree, no unique talent or ability, and even be ugly. That is, if you learn the critical skills that I keep prodding you about here. Now, if you think I'm joking, just take a gander at the headshots of those on the Forbes 400. Yeah, not a beauty contest. Entrepreneurship is the ultimate equal opportunity. Now, the next sign that this is not for you or you're not really ready is you want to have your own business so that you can get attention and be popular or famous. Yeah, once again, the opposite of all that is true. First off, when you leave the herd of normalcy, less than 10% of people are self-employed or own their own business. When you walk away from the herd will turn on you. In other words, you will become instantly unpopular. And second, if you want to win as the leader, you take all the blame for failure, but none of the credit for success. As Coach Bill Bear Bryant said, the winningest coach in college football history at the time of his retirement, he said, if anything goes bad, I did it. If anything goes semi-good, we did it. If anything goes really good, then you did it. That's all it takes to get people to win for you. The best leaders take the spotlight off themselves and shine it on their team. You have to become the opposite of famous. While you might be the spokesperson or face for the brand, still the credit, the praise, the attention, and the appreciation is given to your team. It's called servant leadership for a reason. Your team, your clients, your following don't serve you. You serve them. They are what allow you and the mission that you've got and the enterprise to be possible and potentially successful. You better get the hierarchy here figured out quick. The next sign that this is not for you or that you are not really ready is you want to be an entrepreneur so that you can be your own boss. This is laughable too. That is a terrible reason to want to start a business because the opposite happens. Now, instead of having one crazy boss, you have dozens, if not hundreds. And these bosses are far more terrorizing, demeaning, and unprofessional, and narcissistic, and bipolar than any of your previous bosses. As mentioned in the last point, you have to become a servant leader, first to your employees, then to your clients and customers. You are now employed by each of them. They sign your paycheck. They pay your mortgage. They buy your groceries. They are providing the funding to keep the dream alive and the lights on. And they are demanding, particularly these days, where they have nearly unlimited options, immediate comparison, high expectations, and zero patience. Our prosperous and abundant society has created almost impossible expectations and profound entitlement. And just like an overindulged toddler gets when they don't get their way, they shout, they stomp their feet, they throw temper tantrums. Our customers often do that on Yelp or Amazon or TripAdvisor reviews and generally treat you and your team rude and disrespectful like a toddler does. Trust me, no boss of yours has ever treated you like your future entitled customers and clients feel empowered to treat you these days. And you have to just suck it up. You got to eat the crow. You got to swallow your tongue. You got to turn your cheek and ignore your new tyrannical bosses. The good news, as my mentor Jim Rohn would tell you, there are only about 9 really nasty, horrible, and rotten people in the world. The problem is they move around a lot, so you're liable to run into one of them every so often. But for the most part, most people are wonderful and incredibly grateful for the solution that you're bringing to their life and to their family, which will bring you lots of joy. And there will be no greater soulful fulfillment than serving your employees and seeing the life-altering impact you and your servant leadership is having on them and consequently their family and then all those that they touch. So I will tell you, it's worth it. But do not be under any delusion that you are your own boss, not in any way, shape, or form. We live in a tribe species. You will always be serving someone. Someone will always be your boss. And when you own a business, it just goes from one to many. The last sign that this is not for you or you're not really ready is you think starting a business sounds like fun. You get to do the thing you're passionate about. I am sorry once again to inform you, it is the opposite of that. I already mentioned that the thing you probably find fun, the art, the product, the service, you will no longer be able to do much of that when you start a business that delivers that. But the other part of it is building a business is a struggle, and most are not ready to handle it emotionally. You know, people come into entrepreneurship and business ownership with false expectations. They believe the shiny portrayals of being your own boss that Instagram has fed them. And then when they get in it, the struggle becomes real and it knocks them flat. They just don't realize that the struggle is totally normal, that it is also necessary, and it is a very natural part of the process. Just like a caterpillar has to go through the struggle, the metamorphic process to get out of the pupa in order to become a beautiful butterfly, so too you have to struggle in order to become a beautiful and successful business owner. The best explanation of this I read in Ben Horowitz's book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Here's what he wrote. The struggle is when you wonder why you started the company in the first place. The struggle is when people ask you why you don't quit and you don't know the answer. The struggle is when your employees think that you're lying and you think they may be right. The struggle is when food loses its taste. The struggle is when you don't believe you should be the CEO of your own company. The struggle is when you know that you are in over your head and yet you know that you cannot be replaced. The struggle is when everybody thinks that you're an idiot, but nobody will fire you. The struggle is where self-doubt becomes self-hatred. The struggle is when you are having a conversation with someone and you can't hear a word that they're saying because all you can hear is the struggle. The struggle is when you want the pain to stop. The struggle is unhappiness. The struggle is when you go on vacation to feel better and you feel worse. The struggle is when you are surrounded by people and you are all alone. The struggle has no mercy. The struggle is the land of broken promises and crushed dreams. The struggle is a cold sweat. The struggle is where your guts boil so much that you feel like you're going to spit blood. The struggle is not failure, but it causes failure, especially if you are weak. Always if you are weak. Most people are not strong enough. Every great entrepreneur from Steve Jobs to Mark Zuckerberg went through the struggle, and struggle they did. So you're not alone. But that does not mean that you will make it. You may not make it. That is why it is the struggle. And the struggle is where your eventual greatness comes from, just like the metamorphic process of the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And candidly, that is why I created the eFastPass program. I've been through the struggle several times in building more than a dozen different companies. While the struggle is real, and it will happen, you will experience it. You can soften its blow. You can block its wicked uppercut knockout shot. You can learn to see it coming, protect yourself from it while you recoil and fight forward. And the way through can be accelerated. Given the right tools and the right guidance, you can move through the struggle and get to the other side more quickly. That is why it's called the eFastPass. It will train you on the 4 skills you need, no matter your chosen field or endeavor. You'll gain the tools that will give you an advantage and the companion guidance that you'll need all along the way. I can tell you now, the guidance you need most will not just be what you need right now, but down the path of your journey. As you run into that tough terrain, you might not understand the value of having a trusted guide until you get caught in that quicksand, or are unexpectedly attacked by an enemy, or accidentally take the wrong road and need instructions on how to get back on track. That is when you are going to appreciate the support of the eFastPass. That is when you will be grateful for having me in the seat next to you during this thrilling but terrifying roller coaster ride. Invest in the eFastPass program now, and together we cannot fail.